morning. Good morning. Hi, Debbie. Welcome, everybody, to this fabulous Friday where we are reading all the way through the Bible. We're on day 337. I'm Elizabeth Sharon Ann. My nose is itching. Live video. It couldn't have done that all the time I was sitting here. Okay, my nose was itching. And somebody's coming with a hole in the britches. Hi, Rita. Hi, Rita. Good morning. Good morning. We're reading Daniel chapter 11 today, verses 2 through 35 in our one-year Bible. This just happens to be the cover of the one I use. All of these are my little tabs where just a couple of weeks ago, God told me to look up all the scriptures in King James Version that says to be strong. Now, you understand that if he's telling you to look up scriptures about be strong, that he's preparing you to be strong. Preparing you to be strong. But I focus on the strength and not what might be coming that I got to be strong for. That's how we don't feed the wrong thing. Focus on the strength. Be strong. Be strong. Don't focus on, well, why do I have to be strong? Because if my thoughts go there, that's what I'm feeding. See, I expect God's promises. God promises me that his thoughts for me are for good and not for evil, to give me, to prosper me, not to harm me, to give me an expected end. That's God's thoughts towards me. That's God's plan towards me. God's plan is to prosper me, not to harm me, to give me a future and a hope. So therefore, that's how we start shifting our mind. That's how we stop feeding the enemy. There's those of us that talk more about the enemy than we talk about God's blessings. And there's more of us that puts thoughts into what bad's going to happen instead of the promises that God's given us. We read this every day, so we read his promises. We read the promises, the yes and the amens from God that sustains us, that helps us be strong when trials and tribulations comes. And in fact, when you read this book, he says to count it great joy when trouble comes, because he's building up our endurance through those trials. Yeah. That on the other side of our pain is his glory. I want to focus on the glory, not the pain. Stop focusing on the pain. And my goodness, where did all that come from? I had planned none of that. Today's reading is Daniel chapter 11, verses 2 through 35. And you know, there's not a whole lot I can say to this. I will tell you this, though. This is one of the most famous prophecies. And what makes it one of the most famous is that there has been a period of time, in fact, there's been more than one period of time, when elements of this prophecy have come true, that they actually say about this prophecy that it is one of the most accurate when you compare the prophecy from when it was written to actual events that took place. And it is one of the reasons they cannot discount this Bible as truth. Now that's powerful. So I'll just finish up my little note on that to move into what I want to talk about next. So God spoke to Daniel in such detail that this is one of the most specifically fulfilled prophecies that there is, predicted over some 375 years with amazing accuracy. So accurate that critics say that it's actually history written after the fact. Prophecy of King Xerxes and Alexander the Great, and prophecy of the final Antichrist. We read about a spirit of Antichrist that tries to run around like a chicken with its head cut off. But anyway, the final Antichrist. So good reading, good stuff today. But I once again, in my journey where I'm at, as I more so, it's been interesting to me. Most of the time, I get my revelations from reading in this hardback book with black letters on a white piece of paper. I get most of mine that way. But This time I picked up little tidbits that started it when I read on my phone. I read my book first, and it was another one of those mornings of, oh, I mean, this is just pretty self-explanatory. What could I say about the Old Testament, the New Testament, the Psalms, and the Proverbs? I mean, every one of these is a lesson in and of itself. You just read it and you've gotten a lesson. And then I did the electronic version last night, and I that's when the hint of what was to come started with me. And then as I finalized things this morning, one of the later things I did in my morning routine this morning is I hit the play button and listened to the reading of the word today. And that's when I really got a lot about it. That for me, Elizabeth, today on December the 3rd of 2021, this continued showing me the battle that goes on in my brain, my thoughts, the battlefield of the mind that goes on. It's still I mean, I'm able to correlate how this prophecy speaks about the way thoughts in my head battle. So that's really all I had to say about Daniel today. There are instances in this Bible, if you were reading the King James Version, it would tell us to be strong. It's not interpreted that way in this New Living Translation, but there are messages in here for us to be strong. And then, 1 John chapter 3, 7 through 24, again, I'm just telling you, it's a lesson in and of itself. Such powerful things. I was one of those Christians that didn't live an overcoming life. I'm one of those Christians that got saved, filled with the Holy Ghost. I had the power of God on the inside of me, and yet I stumbled and I fell, and I allowed the things of this world to woo me into 15 years of wandering around the desert, digging a pit of hell so deep that I didn't think I'd ever get out of it. Why did I have such encounters with the Most High God, the one and only true God, and still go the wrong way? Why? How did that happen? Well, I will just tell you, first and foremost, I wasn't grounded in the Word. And back then, I was very young. When I did do Bible reading, most of the time it was through contests and stuff, through my Sunday school class or my youth group or Vacation Bible School. So my motives for reading was wrong. And we have to check our motives for reading, because now that here I am, I don't know, 19 years into reading all the way through the Bible every year, doing other Bible study, sometimes spending hours in the Word. I read things like 1 John and I think, how did I get it wrong? I mean, if I'd have just done what's written down, if I just would have followed his plan, if I just would have obeyed his voice, because remember, there's nothing written in here that he hasn't already spoken to you. There's nothing written in here that he hasn't already spoken to you. He just knew our carnal. He created this carnal body. He created my physical brain. Our Heavenly Father, our Creator, totally, completely understands the intricacies of our central nervous system. He understands intimately the complexity of our brains, of our thoughts. He knows all of the things that we will never and can never and are not capable of grasping. His ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are beyond our thoughts. And so in his goodness for us, he had it written down. He had it written down for us. But he wrote it down after he's already spoken it. I believe that with everything in me. Rhema word was first, written word came next. It's all his word. It's all him. That's why we can't get out of balance in worshiping this book. We don't worship the book. We worship the one true God, and then we see the oneness of, when I read, I'm reading him. when I read, I'm actually hearing his heart. And that's what we do. And we're hearing his heart. And he's being a good father to us today, telling us how to live our lives. Oh, no, don't touch that. That's going to hurt you. No, 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 no. Don't put your finger in that electrical socket. Don't you know that's going to shock you? That's what he's doing. He's loving on us just like that when he tells us not to overindulge in too much alcohol, when he tells us not to live an immoral, impure sexual life, when he tells us not to engage in sexual activity outside of marriage, when he tells us not to have multiple partners sexually, when he tells us to guard our thoughts and to pay attention to what you're letting in, because junk in is junk coming out. And the list goes on and on. Or as we go through 1 John chapter 3, starting in 7, don't let anyone deceive you about this. When people do what is right, it shows that they're righteous, even as Christ is righteous. When you do what is right, you're righteous, even as Christ is righteous. Let that sink in. Some of the reasons why we keep doing stupid stuff is because we don't love ourselves. We don't believe in ourselves. We don't love ourselves. And we don't love ourselves because we're not allowing God to love us. And there's these walls that's been built up since probably way back into your childhood. Your second grade teacher told you were no good and you'd never be no good. And you bought into that lie. And then you had a self-fulfilling prophecy that everything about your life's going to stink. My whole family stinks. I was born on the wrong side of the track. My whole family does things. I have alcoholics all the way down through my generations. I've got drug addicts. I've got, the list goes on and on and on and on. No. That's why we renew our mind. This is you today. When people do what is right, it shows that they are righteous, even as Christ is righteous. Right now, today, do a check in your mind. Do you see yourself righteous as Christ is righteous? Right there's the work you got to do. That's the work you got to do. And how do you do it? By reading 1 John chapter 3, verse 7 through 24 this morning. But when people keep on sinning, it shows that they belong to the devil. Ooh. He doesn't pull any punches. When you keep on sinning, you belong to the devil, who has been sinning since the beginning. But the Son of God came to destroy the works of the devil. Now, do you understand why I started off saying, stop giving thought to what the enemy's doing? Stop talking about how we've had an amazing retreat, but get ready because the resistance is coming. No. The only information I even want to give any credence to at all about the enemy is I at least want the knowledge of the enemy, because my people perish for lack of knowledge. But beyond the knowledge of, I don't want to pay any more attention to the enemy. I don't want to feed him at all. I want to be educated enough to know that his ways are that after a major retreat, a major time in my prayer closet, after a major breakthrough in my life, the enemy's going to attempt to come at you full force. But that attempt has no power in my life because of this statement right here. But the Son of God came to destroy the works of the devil. But see, we believe that the devil is powerful, that he's a roaring lion out there seeking who he can destroy. The thing about that is there's a knowledge of him as a roaring lion, and then there's a belief that he is the roaring lion that's going to steal, kill, and destroy. It's a subtle little shift in the way we think. You got to get those subtle little shifts. He is not a roaring lion in my life. He is the defeated foe in my life. He's defeated. And by reading this word, where I'm at right now today, I wish I'd have been here in my 20s. I wish I'd been here in my 30s. Even my 40s and 50s would have been nice. Is that he has no power in my life except the power I choose to give him. He's destroyed. He was destroyed. His works was destroyed, but the Son of God came to destroy the works, not destroy the enemy. He's not a destroyed foe. He is a defeated foe. He is a defeated enemy. He is helpless against the power that's within us. Those who have been born into God's family do not make a practice of sinning because God's life is in them. So they can't keep on sinning because they are children of God. So now we can tell who are children of God and who are children of the devil. There's some of you guys out there that flat out are saying, well, I'm 36 years old and I was raised by people who cuss and the 4-letter words fly in my home and it's just in me and I can't stop it. That's a lie from the pits of hell. You don't want to change it. You don't want to stop it. It's just time for you to say, stop it. There's those of you that love the taste of alcohol so much that you know it's causing trouble in your life. You know it's causing trouble. But hey, there's nothing wrong. Drinking alcohol is not going to keep me from heaven. You're exactly right. But you don't want to give up and you don't want to take that next step into righteousness. You don't want to do what's necessary to discipline this carnal body. Hey guys, I'm transparent with you guys. It had been 6 years since I'd done a fast. And about 2 years ago, I started trying to fast, and this physical body of mine got so used to me eating whatever I felt like eating, and it showed on my body and on my scales that when I started to try to do a fast, this body, this carnal flesh rose up against me and convinced me that I was going to have headaches and convinced me that my hands was going to shake and that I was going to feel like I was going to faint and that I was going to be so tired I wouldn't have energy to do. You understand? I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. Why do you think I can talk about these things? And you know what? I'm here before you tell me I've only done 1 3-day fast. I'm going to do more than 1 3-day fast, not because it gets God to do anything for me, but I'm going to bring this physical body into submission to the Holy One who lives on the inside of me. That's what this is talking about. And I can't do it by myself. In those moments when I'm having that struggle, I fail when I tell myself I can do this. I can do this because I can't do anything, but it's the God in me. So in those moments when I've started a fast and I think, oh, I gotta push through. I gotta push through. No. What I need to be saying is, God, I need you now. Rise up in me because I can't do this on my own. It doesn't matter if it's eating. It doesn't mean if it's breaking bad habits. It doesn't mean if it's sexual impurity. It doesn't mean if it's, I mean, you can't not deny what's written in this book. You can't deny, it's black and white. Did you not hear that? But when people keep on sinning, it shows that they belong to the devil. I don't want to keep on sinning. Will I sin? I will, but it's going to highlight to me the work that needs to be done in areas that I got to lay out before my Father again. I got to lay prostrate before the cross and say, with you, I am crucified and I rise in righteousness with you by the power that's in me. That is you, God. I give up my right to eat. I give up my right to be identified as, I give up my right to be identified as a woman, let alone I give up my right on whatever preference that's going around these days. It's not about that, guys. That is idol worshiping that has risen up to get us to focus on, oh, I'm an independent woman that don't need a man. Do you know that's idol worshiping? That is self-idol worshiping. Carrie Ann, negative for COVID. Praise God. Praise God. Thank you for that praise report, Carrie Ann. I mean, thank you for bringing it up, Carrie Ann, because we in this world, in this point in time, I promise you, it was 2 days ago, I think I told you I heard the word Omicron for the first time. There are people on the earth that has already made that an idol, that when they laid their head on the pillow at night, they thought more about, oh my gosh, there's a new variant. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? What I got to do? I need to, what are they going to do? What's the government going to, how are they going to protect me? What am I? And they lay their head on the pillow at night and go, oh, wow, I never one time thought about God protecting me. Oh, it can be anything. It can be anything anything can be an idol. Anything. Hot topics in our political system, I promise you, has become idols on many people's part. But see, I'm not responsible for them. I'm not responsible for the way they believe. I'm responsible for me and the good Lord right here this morning in my little prayer closet. Started last night, the first time I read. It's me and God, me and God. And then you want to know what I'm responsible for? Submitting to him. Becoming a dead woman to him so that he can then, through his power, raise up my right hand to praise him, raise up my left hand to pray for somebody else, to put one foot in front of me so that I go to that one that's hurting, so that by his power, I'm able to go and do what he wants me to do. And it doesn't matter who I'm married to, who I'm not married to. I'm going to follow his decrees and his laws he's given me, because when I don't know, I go to the book. It is powerful stuff. This is how we live an overcoming life. This is how we stay off medications. This is how we stop being depressed. This is how we stop worrying. This is how we stop all of the negativity that creates sickness in our bodies that kills us from the inside out. I haven't arrived. I've been very, very, very vulnerable and transparent with you guys, sharing that God is delivering me of some stuff that is bound towards a rejection of spirit, a rejection spirit tracking me. And you know what? Today, when I read this, what have I been doing focusing on that? He's a defeated foe. That work, that spirit of rejection has been destroyed. The only reason it's lingered on this past week or so in me is because I've thought about it. I fed it, and then I spoke it when I spoke it to you guys, because I'm not going around here speaking it all the time to everybody. Now, God will use it. He'll use it. But anyway, and I thought I didn't have anything to say this morning. The love at the table this morning. Those who have been born into God's family do not make a practice of sinning because God's life is in them. So they can't keep on sinning because they're children of God. I want to reach a place in my life that before I step into sin, I will live an isolated life. Now, careful, careful. There's a narrow road and there's a ditch on this side and there's a ditch on this side. But if sexual sin is my problem, then I'd rather live alone than to continue in that sin. If eating too much is my sin, then I would rather never go out to eat again than to continue to sin. You understand what I'm saying? Take whatever the issue is and then let God isolate that and work on that. And then when you're ready for the next one, he'll bring it to mind and you'll work on the next. The little black spaghetti that comes out white as snow is what I'm talking about. And he wrote it down for us in case we're wondering what it might be. It's written down. So now we can tell who are children of God and who are children of the devil. Anyone who does not live righteously and does not love other believers does not belong to God. You don't get to say, I hate that preacher. You don't get to say, well, any of the criticism that you would have. You don't get to talk about your local preacher and what all of the rumors are. You don't get to do that. Not and be a child of God. I mean, you want to talk about giving inroads to the enemy and giving him power in your life. Continue your gossip. Continue your negativity. This is the message you have heard from the beginning. We should love one another. We should love one another. I wonder how come I'm always saying it all begins and it all ends with love. It all begins with love. It all ends with love. We must not be like Cain, who belonged to the evil one and killed his brother. And why did he kill him? Because Cain had been doing what was evil and his brother had been doing what was righteous. So don't be surprised, dear brothers and sisters, if the world hates you. Don't be surprised. You know, that's one of the things that he's working on with me. Elizabeth, why are you surprised by my miracles? Why do you say, I can't believe what God just did? I'm not supposed to say that. I'm speaking death when I say that. He told the disciples they shouldn't have been surprised that he spoke to the wind and it was calmed when they were out on a boat in the middle of the sea and they thought they were dying. Oh, ye have little faith. Why are you surprised? We just came from feeding the 5,000. Don't be surprised. We should know God so intimately that when he heals that person that we laid hands on that was suffering from cancer, and the next report is the cancer's gone, we smile and say, yep, that's my God. Yep, that's my God. No surprise here. No surprise. I'm going to end up with Proverbs 29:1. Whoever stubbornly refuses to accept criticism will suddenly be destroyed beyond recovery. See, if you can't stand for somebody to tell you that what you're doing, the lifestyle you're leading, the choices you're making are sinful, you've just opened yourself up for destruction. So let me tell you what happens when accusation comes. We do what Psalms 139 says. So Elizabeth, I heard you blah, 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 blah. Or Elizabeth, when you blah, 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 blah. When the world hates you and the accusations come, I want to read Proverbs again. Whoever stubbornly refuses to accept criticism will suddenly be destroyed beyond recovery. When criticism comes, whether it's truthful criticism or it's not truthful, search my heart, O Lord. Psalms 139, verse 23 and 24. Search my heart, O Lord, and see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me on the path of righteousness. See, he doesn't say to say, search me, O Lord, and if there's no wickedness in me, then I have a right to tell them that they're wrong. That's not what he says. Right, wrong, or indifferent, search me, O Lord, and lead me on the path of righteousness. See, a false accusation against us does not give us a right to defend. What did Jesus do when they accused him? He sat in silence. He did not answer his accusers. Read it. Do a study. Meditate on the times that Jesus answered questions and when he chose silence. Meditate on the scriptures that's written down for us on the times when they asked Jesus a question and he answered with a question. And how many times did he rise up to defend himself? None. He warns us, they're going to hate you because you're mine. And then he tells us if we can't take criticism, we're opening the door for that defeated enemy to have power in our lives. Search my heart, O Lord. See if there be any wicked way in me. See, the only criticism that really counts is God's criticism. And he may very well, and he has, and he will continue to speak to Donna to tell Elizabeth what I need to hear. And when Donna speaks to me and tells me, my response should always be, okay, Lord, I heard her. Was that you? See, is there any wickedness in me? Is it in me, Lord? Now you lead me on the path of righteousness. When Montana says, Elizabeth, really, is that you? Search me, O Lord. Show me. Show me. You lead me. Because the whole thing about criticism is it's between you and God. Criticism is not between you and that person. You and that person. That's not what. No. No. Whatever the criticism is against you, that is between you and God. And if he tells you, and you know that you've said that prayer that you've just been vindicated, let the vindication reign, not the need for revenge, not the need for a retort, not the need to be right. Do you know how many relationships are destroyed simply because we operate in a spirit that we got to be right? You got to hear me. You're going to hear me over hearing you because I'm going to interrupt you every time you start talking. Wow. Wow. This is good stuff. This is how to live our lives. This is the basic instructions before leaving Earth. One of my dad's favorite sayings. So you guys have a fabulous Friday. Oh, did I say Merry Christmas? Fully intended to say Merry Christmas every day this month. Merry Christmas, everybody. And guess what? We've got teachers that'll be doing Bible study at 8:30 a.m. Saturday morning and Sunday morning, 7 days a week now. 7 days a week, 8:30 a.m. Central Time. We've got volunteers that are going to bring the word to us 8:30 a.m. Saturday morning, 8:30 a.m. Sunday morning. And I pray blessings upon blessings on not just those that'll bring the word, but those that'll log in and listen. I love you guys. Merry Christmas, Cindy. I love you, Cindy. Bye-bye. I love y'all. You're my favorite.